ready, if you are ready. Yeah. Okay, all right, awesome. So, I just go like this. Okay, cool. It's funny to see this kind of setup. But yeah, this is where we are. So, welcome to the Poppycock Festival and also to the first ever leadership meetup in our region in Slovenia that is called Zasavje. And we are more than happy to host two of the, let's say, on the top of the new way of leadership thinkers of today, Karolina Iwa, and who is the organizer of the Emerge Leadership Festival, and Erwin, who will have to help me with his surname.
Don't even try it. It's totally Flemish or Dutch, no matter what you call it. And we have this thing with the GH, with the which probably other people don't have. So Van Waeleghem, I would call it. So you can pronounce that, it's okay. If you don't, that's okay too.
I will try. I will give a shot. Erwin Van Waeleghem.
There you go.
Okay.
That's an A+.
So we can take the first aim that we achieved. And Erwin is a global seed planter and teal spirator. Okay. And the first question goes to both of you, and I will ask Karolina just first, who is a leader of today?
Well, I was thinking about that, who is a leader of today, and I myself work in the field of social innovation. So what social innovation means for me is, and where my focus lies, is reinventing the concepts of how we live home, family, and work. So these are the three.
Us again then. So maybe we can say that you send it over to us and we will attach it when we share the recording.
Yeah. Well, basically theory U, it works like a letter U, and at the beginning you go out into the world and you collect the information you already have. So you don't work based on this what your team knows, but you actually go out there and talk to people, talk to actual people, and you make interviews. And then once you've collected all the information about the issue you're looking at, then there is a really nice spot at the very bottom of the U that is called pre-sensing, and the dynamics there is retreat and reflect. And this is often when we kick people out of the seminar room and tell them go for an hour and a half walk.
Oh yeah.
Or we tell people go climbing. Or we engage them in some sort of physical activity so that the front of their brain stops working and the back burner, like we call it, starts crunching the information. And then when we come back, you collect information from the group and in a phase that's called crystallizing. And you ask people what has emerged, what has showed up. And based on that collective wisdom that is showing up about what from the future wants to emerge, you create prototypes. These prototypes you implement very fast and you see what they tell you, and then you decide, all right, this is what we're going to do. So it works for both things like products in your company, but it also works for your structures or how you want to run meetings or how you want to relate to each other. So this is theory as the whole process, and then also it has very many beautiful tools like journaling that is reintroduced into our life, and it also has these three dynamics of entering every situation, every team situation, every self situation with an open mind, open heart, and open will. And there are these three voices. There's the voice of judgment that blocks our minds. There is the voice of cynicism that blocks our heart, and the voice of fear that blocks our will. And what I like about a theory you're going to understand it, like I'm a big fan of structures. I want people to have bridges. I want them to have tricks. I want them to know how to walk the walk. Then life is going to happen and it's going to be messy, but what's my roadmap? So when you're feeling like your head is blocked by judgment, then what you need to do is listen to this, what it's saying, because it's providing you important information actually. And listen to it without putting judgment on it, but just listen what it has to say. When you feel that your heart, is frozen with cynicism and you go like, oh my God, like that's so embarrassing, I'm gonna die in a second. And what you need is, some will call it love, some will call it compassion. But just like embracing yourself, that person, or the element that doesn't want to be heard, but needs to be heard. And then when fear blocks your will, then you know what you need is courage. And actually what we do with teams, and it's a beautiful practice, is we ask them to collect what are the voices of judgment, what are the voices of cynicism and fear that they hear in their organizations, both from the others and them telling themselves. Then we ask them, well, if you wanted to listen to this voice, how would you do it? If you wanted to give it some love, how would you do it? If you wanted to give it courage, how would you do it? Because it's about teams learning together in tough times. How can I stand by your side? If you need courage and you're, at the bottom of the bottom, how do I give you courage? Teach me, show me, so I can be there for you with what you need.
Thank you so much. And then from TORU to teal and teal organization, where does this come in, Erwin?
Well, unlike Karolina, I don't like structures too much. In that sense, I know that I'm talking about much more about culture and values and things that we feel inside and that we sense, and the sensing part. But of course, I do realize that people like Karolina are necessary to guide me. So I have nothing against it, far from it. The only thing I always keep saying to people is, watch out, because if you have theories, if you have models, if you have systems, if you have whatever you have designed to get your head around things, or your feelings around things even, don't make this a goal in itself. And that's what really happens. This is what happens with holakracija, for instance, or sociocracy, or any other theory, or NLP, or whatever training that people can get. They make this the goal in itself. And to me, this can never happen. To me, teal is about the human connection, about benevolence, about trust, which is actually a true feeling that you can give to each other. You don't have to earn this. You can actually just give it. It's not easy out of our conditionings, but if you want to recondition yourself, or let's say, open your conditionings up, and then you might use these tools, of course, wherever it benefits you. And that's why I say all these wonderful things that are out there, TRU, holakracija, all the other things that are out there, and there's a lot of them, out of hosting, out of participatory leadership, whatever. I've looked into them, not as deep as Karolina, especially because I have sort of I won't say an aversion, I don't have an aversion, but it's like, I never liked maths either, you know what I mean? It's sort of the same feeling.
It's funny, I love maths. That's interesting.
No, I know. But for me, it's like, put me in a box and I can't get out anymore. I can't have my own thoughts anymore. That's how I feel. And I'm not saying that's what it is, of course. But as long as I feel the basis is okay, I can put this in my toolbox and use it wherever I can need it. I've just come out of a few days of sickness where I had the flu, and also had some anxiety attacks, so to speak, because of, let's say, leaving the police force and having a steady income. All of a sudden now the world opens up and you have to think about finances where I never did. This sometimes triggers some anxiety, right? Yeah. I sat down and meditated, and I've been doing this for the last 3 or 4 years, but I don't need any meditation courses to do that. I just listen to what my heart says, and I listen to nice music, and I close my eyes and go inside. It's a very self-developing thing that if you can grow like this. But of course, all these tools work, and I've looked into them, and it's nice to have them, to be able to read about them. The first thing I did when I stopped drinking, for instance, I became a sponge. I read books and books, and you know, my library is now filled with about 350 books here. Have I read them all? No, but I might have looked inside and go, oh, there's a nice part here. Just to have some recognition of what you already feel. That's what systems do to me. They sort of give me recognition to what I feel inside. And it's actually, for me, the let's say, the balance between your ratio and the heart's feeling. If you feel this in a balance, that's when you can act and you know, sense and respond, as we called it before. It's not always easy, of course, because we're just humans, and we might need some structure. You know, I'm not very structured guy. I have to be, but in essence, I'm not.
So what are teal organizations based on? What is the basis?
Well, actually, this whole teal idea came from Ken Wilber, as you probably know, who made the integral theory. So it's just well, I won't say it's just a color. It's based on the works of Claire Graves, and it came out of his own interpretation of spiral dynamics and the color scheme that was adapted to that. But up behind teal and the teal principles and the three breakthroughs that Lalou calls, you know, the wholeness and the evolutionary purpose and the self-management, it's about this human connection. It's about these human values that we already hold inside. Trust, respect, win-win thinking, actually total human centricity. That's what, you know, you don't even have to learn about it because it's already there. You just have to try and feel it. And theory, you can help you feel that, you know, it's quite, or refine it actually, rediscover it. So these companies or these organizations that work like this, probably most of them hadn't even heard about teal before they started doing this. It was just the CEO or the founder or somebody inside the organization that said, look guys, we don't have to do this in a very hierarchical way. Put people down and controlling people and telling them what to do. Why don't we start differently or start collaborating differently? And actually, the main examples like Semco, like Favi, like all the ones that are named, Morningstar and stuff like that, came out of this genuine human-centric feeling that, you know, the founder or the people in charge felt. And they made it totally different. And now it talks to us. This is really resonating with how we feel, of course.
We have 5 more minutes to make a wrap up. And I would ask Karolina how to encourage more people to lead, or does it make sense? Do we need more leaders that would lead with listening to the intuition?
The interesting thing, as we were building up to the leadership festival, we had conversations over half a year with leaders working inside of various paradigms that we see are part of this emerging paradigm. And one of the people, Martina Roll, who works a lot with holakracija and runs a consultancy company, Structure and Process, she replied in one email to us something that really made my heart freeze over. You know, she said, "I'm not a leader, and so I can't answer your questions, and I don't think I can join." You know, and I was like, "Oh my God, what did we do? You know, wrong wording. What happened?" And this is what helped us understand that currently it's no longer about leaders; it's about leadership. So we need everybody to show up with their leadership capacities and their leadership attention and their leadership action. We can no longer only rely on the leaders to do the work. The world is too complex. And also, you know, like what I always keep saying is all the rules we run by are man-made. We made these rules so we can change them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, we can change them, so let us show up and play.
Cool.
Yeah.
And Erwin,
And you know, like, another thing I want to add, because it's important for me, as I am definitely a left-wing person. I come from a punk background, you know, and I have a very deep respect for those who were before me. So I'm always gonna go with a very deep humbleness and awareness, and keeping in mind that we are standing on shoulders of giants. So I will always respect the work of those who came before me, and I will act in a way to respect and do its honor. So that's the second part I want to add, because it's a grounding practice, and it's not something that is. I want my work and the work we do to be serious and to be sustainable and not to be dangerous for people. So I want it to be playful and rebellious and confrontative, and I want it to be respectful and sustainable, and I want it to increase benefit for all.
Beautiful, thank you. Erwin, how can we bring more leadership potential in people? How can we awaken it?
Yeah. Well, first I want to add something on what Karolina just said. You know, can you imagine that somebody with a punk background and a police commissioner are getting together and doing this, right? in the old paradigm, that would be
impossible.
Something very, very strange, right? So what's happening here, and that's the main part of teal actually, for me this is the main part of teal, is that it embraces all what has been before. It embraces the red and the amber and the orange and the green, where the other paradigms pushed away or rebelled actually against the paradigm before. So we should be very aware of that, and I need to emphasize on that. Even people who are into teal, yeah, but that's not teal. I said, well, it's actually teal because you embrace it, you know. So if we look at leadership in that way, I strongly believe that we all have leadership capacities. It doesn't take extra managers to make leaders. It makes leaders to make leaders. It needs leaders to make leaders. And not every manager is a leader, not every leader is a manager. So we should move away from that idea that we need management, blah, blah, blah. What they can do, the existing management, is facilitate this, is make other leaders, is trigger the leadership in every single one person. And instead of making this top-down hierarchy, make a network of people who constantly shift their roles as expert, as knowledge holders, as the people that they are actually, that can contribute to the whole. And that's actually, you know, taking off the mask, be who you are. If you have a bad day on Monday, tell people that you have a bad day on Monday. Or if you're happy, it's Monday, feel free to be joyful, you know. Let people be people and move away from this box thinking where you actually, you know, make boundaries for people to be creative, to be self-sufficient, to be whatever. So we don't need more leaders, we just need to trigger the leadership inside everybody else.
Well said.
Perfect. And for the final thought, I will actually invite Maya, who is actually in charge, that we had like this first ever leadership meetup, and have you to be possible to host you. And Maya, I think that the final thought should be yours.
Wow, okay, thanks, surprise.
I think you should sit here.
The beautiful thing with Maya is whenever you have an online conversation with Maya, Maya doesn't really need to speak, but her body language does the talking.
That's what she said, and I agree with that, because I was just thinking, maybe after this conversation I should go for a run to start my back brain from the work, because a lot of information is gathered lately. We're doing a lot of thinking individually and in the group. So yeah, that's my final thought. Let's all of us go for a run and to exercise a bit, and then we will harvest all the ideas that were happening here.
Beautiful. So we have a job to do now. And so we are waving to California and waving to Belgium. And thank you so much. And well, I think that we should welcome you in Slovenia.
Thank you for having us. Have a fantastic evening.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye. Bye. Yay!
Okay, and you have seen it?